Hey guys, Kiwi here. In this video, I'll be discussing the newest issue of The Walking Dead comics, issue 175, along with talking about a possible Easter egg that could be hinting at some major foreshadowing here in both the comics and the TV show. With that being said, warning of spoilers for The Walking Dead up to the Season 8 mid-season finale, along with Fear the Walking Dead up to the Season 3 finale, and the comics up to issue 175. Jeez, and let's jump right into this. So, I was actually going to create this video at the beginning of January, but I just couldn't find the time. I had it all completely mapped out and ready to go before I even finished my review for issue 175, but with all the articles involving Carl and Gimple, along with the mid-season finale for Season 8 in general, and also everything involving Fear the Walking Dead Season 4 and its crossover with Morgan, it's been difficult juggling all of these video topics, but I definitely just love how much buzz there is going around The Walking Dead right now. I would definitely prefer too many topics over not enough, but I definitely would have liked to create this video sooner. Now in issue 175, a small group of our main characters are being introduced to the Ohio group for the first time, who call themselves the Commonwealth. Feel free to check out the channel for a full breakdown of the issue, along with my reaction to the crazy shocking ending, but anyways, about halfway through their initial conversation with Lance, the person in charge of greeting any newcomers into the Commonwealth, he asks them if they picked up any unusual customs along their travels. Michonne says no, but Lance responds with skepticism as he elaborates by giving an example. Lance says, "We recently had a man arrive who survived by covering himself in blood all the time, like every day. It was disgusting." Unquote. Now this example honestly sounds like Nick from Fear the Walking Dead, but that's just me. While reading this description for the first time, I just couldn't help but think of the Season 2 mid-season premiere for Fear the Walking Dead titled Grotesque, as Nick is just covered in blood, wandering around zombie herds like a whisper almost. Now I'm not saying that this is necessarily Nick that Lance is talking about, as Fear the Walking Dead is in the TV show universe, and right now we're talking about the comic book universe, but it's just too close of a call for me to ignore. It could be a coincidence, but if that's even the case, the TV show could still take this and twist it into something significant. I was originally going to discuss this in my 175 review, but after brainstorming about it for a bit, I realized that it was enough of a topic to warrant its own video entirely. Now, considering no one from Fear the Walking Dead has ever had a comic book counterpart, it would pretty much go against everything we originally thought. Normally, comic book characters are adapted into the show, but in this case, you'd be taking a TV show original character from the spin-off show and creating a counterpart for him in the original Walking Dead comics. This isn't very likely, but it would be very interesting to see. Honestly, I tried considering every possibility here, but it just doesn't make much sense to create a future comic book version of a spin-off TV show character. So if they aren't going to introduce Nick into the comics as a member of the Commonwealth, does this still have any significance towards him? Although what Lance said may just end as a subtle Easter egg in the comics or even a sheer coincidence, if the TV show ever gets to this point, they may elaborate on this and actually remix it into something else. Now the Commonwealth is 50,000 people, so it's entirely possible for them to never touch a base on this person that Lance is talking about again. It could have been a simple example and that's it, but maybe that's just what they want us to think. What if this is a possible seed planted for future planning in the show? They could be intentionally leaving this here so they have an open option to include Nick in the Commonwealth if they want, but I feel like nothing will ever come of it in the comics, to be completely honest. Even if it wasn't Kirkman's original intention, once the TV show gets to this point, as I've said, they may use this as an opportunity to create another crossover between the shows. We already know that Morgan is crossing over to Fear the Walking Dead, so is it possible for Nick to eventually cross over to the main show as well? Nick could end up being a part of the Commonwealth in season 12 or something if the shows last that long, as it's definitely possible for the shows to intertwine more characters. Fear the Walking Dead could send off Nick to the main show in a few seasons from now, and he could even have a few people tag along, like Luciana for example. I could see Fear the Walking Dead concluding Nick's story with him either arriving at the Commonwealth or him being confronted by some Commonwealth soldiers. It would be a crazy way to end off Nick's story in Fear the Walking Dead, as it would hype up the Commonwealth even more for the original show when they finally get to it. The executive producer for the first 3 seasons of Fear the Walking Dead, Dave Erickson, confirmed in an interview that he originally planned for Nick and Madison to eventually split ways indefinitely as their viewpoints become polar opposites, and so my point from this is that I honestly feel like at some point in Fear the Walking Dead, Nick and Madison are going to split up again, either intentionally or unintentionally, and that they'll just literally never see each other again. Fear the Walking Dead Season 4 has 2 entirely new showrunners, so they could be planning more crossovers, especially with Scott Gimple overlooking everything and poking his nose in everything. Bottom line, the Walking Dead comic series is Robert Kirkman's baby, and it's still his story and his story alone. I'm not sure if Kirkman would actually want to modify his comic story in order to foreshadow something happening in the shows, but I seriously think that if this moment with Lance ever gets adapted, it could be the creation of yet another crossover. You could argue that the person Lance found was a Whisperer, as it is possible that a Whisperer straggler could have survived the war, ran away as far as they could, eventually running into the Commonwealth. It could have been a newly recruited Whisperer, meaning that they weren't too brainwashed into the Whisperer customs, which we've seen before when Dwight and his group took out some Whisperers during the war. But if that's the case, Lance would have mentioned that the person was wearing a zombie mask or a dead person's face or something, right? Not just that they were covered in zombie blood. This makes me think of Fear the Walking Dead Season 2 when Nick is at the Colonia with Lucy and his people, and they've adapted putting zombie blood on themselves in order to camouflage. I know I've rambled about this too much, but I'd love to hear Robert Kirkman's official statement on this in the future. I'd appreciate a like on the video if you've enjoyed anything I've said today, or even subscribe for more Walking Dead content in the near future. If you'd like to take that extra step in helping support my videos, consider checking out my Patreon, where there's a bunch of different rewards involving the channel, such as a chance to directly influence the videos being produced. It isn't necessary by any means, but it could really help in the long run. And as always, I thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.